morning, good afternoon, good evening, good wherever or whatever time it is that you happen to be tuning into. It's Naturally Not. How's everybody doing? Are you doing well? I hope so. Today, we're going to be making an interesting dessert that is really elegant and really pretty and just wonderful for spring and summer that I'd never even heard of. Okay? There was a restaurant that I was kind of interested in that was new, and I was checking out their website, and I was looking at their desserts, and normally I don't look at desserts, right? I look at the main entrees and the appetizers, but I was looking at the desserts, and they had listed orange posset, and then they didn't have a description, and I was like, posset? How can there be some, what is a posset? It sounds like a faucet. So then I went, of course, deep diving down on the internet and found out that a posset is a very old dessert from the UK. One article even said even Ireland possibly, and it went back, if I remember correctly, a couple hundred years. And the concept of it is it would have some sort of fermented beverage, like say a wine, some sort of acid with some sort of dairy, and it would make a pudding, if you will, almost. And then it became, and still is to my knowledge, pretty popular in the UK, and to this day. And so my understanding of it was a little like a custard, only it doesn't have any eggs in it. A little like a pudding, but it doesn't have any cornstarch, just a cornstarch thickening up. So it's kind of in its own category. And what it is, of course, is heavy cream and then an acid. In this case, lemon, because I love everything lemon. If you hear the squeaks in the other room, you know what that is. It's Rosie showing off. Anyway, I love lemon in spring and the summer. Lime too. Lemon meringue pie, lemon cheesecake, lemon squares. And I'm always looking for something new, and I thought, you know what, an orange posset doesn't sound good because I'm just not a huge orange juice fan, but why not make a lemon? In fact, next time I'm going to try making a lime posset, but I've already made this a couple times, and this is good as a lemon posset. Again, kind of like a pudding, kind of like like custard, but not, okay? It has 3 ingredients: the acid that you're going to use, the lemon, the heavy cream, and sugar, okay? And I did see a lime or a lemon posset, another recipe online, and it had a little bit of vanilla in it. And sometime I'm going to try adding a little vanilla. I think that would round it out a little bit too, make it good. But for today, we're just going to use lemon because it's all about lemon today, okay? So what you're going to need is heavy cream. You're going to need a lemon and a half. Now this serves 4. The original recipe I saw had 8 servings, and I was like, other than a holiday, I never have 8 people over that I'm going to give dessert to. So I cut it down. 4 is manageable. Me and a couple friends, and maybe sending one home with an extra dessert. In fact, the first time I made this, I did that. I used, let me show you what, do I have one of the containers sitting up here? I used a container like this. The first time I made possets, because the lid, and this is just a recycled olive jar, you can put a lid on it and then you can give it away, right, as to a present to one of your friends or a neighbor. And so the first time, once I made sure that they didn't taste awful and they were fabulous, that is what I did. Here, I gave it away. But today, and also I couldn't find my nice dishes, today we're going to use these nice dishes. Okay, so it only makes 4. We're only doing 4 today because I don't want to have to give away a bunch if I make 8. Okay? So what we're going to do is get our pan on our medium to high heat and start off by adding our 1.5 cups, right, of heavy whipping cream. Now what I read, I'm going to get a spatula. What I read was the thing that if you're kind of a chemist, or if you're, what's that guy, that American Test Kitchen always references. He's got kind of one of those long 3-name names. Anyway, he's a chemist and a chef, a cook. If you're into that kind of thing, the science of cooking, what makes this pudding, this custard, this dessert set up like a pudding or a custard without thickener or eggs is science. The acid kind of, and I don't know the right verb here, the acid, the lemon that we're going to add, is going to kind of curdle, if you will. But curdle is such a weird sounding word, it makes you think of rotten, and that's, so I don't know what the right verb is, but it changes the consistency, there we go, of this into like a pudding, and it's so smooth. And I don't know how that is, right? Lopez Alt, that's the name of that chef, that is also a scientist. I can't remember his first name. I think it begins with a K. If you know what I'm talking about, drop that down in the comment section. All right, so the next thing we want to do is we want to get, I can use this, I guess. We just want to keep our eye on this, and we're going to want to add the sugars. Now, when I went down the deep dive, a lot of people said things about this recipe as be careful not to add too much sugar. Too much sugar takes away the lemon. And so the original recipe, I think, called for, I think, what was it? Was it a half a cup and, when I halved it anyway, a half a cup and 3 tablespoons of sugar. And somebody said, no, that's too much, it was too sweet. And I saw that comment a lot, be careful not to make it too sweet. So I cut it down to a half a cup of sugar, and then I took out some sugar, and that's what we're going to do today, okay? So I'm going to do a little finger test. See how this is, oh, it's already lukewarm, warmer than lukewarm. We're going to add the sugar, so we're going to add a half a cup. But what I'm going to do is take a little bit out of the half of the cup, okay? I'm going to be a little unscientific, but I'll show you what I mean. So I got a full half cup here, right? I'm going to take out my tablespoon here. I'm going to take out about almost a tablespoon. Again, if you like yours sweeter, make this a full half cup of sugar. This is white granulated sugar. If you're oh, I love sweet so much, then do the original recipe said, which was a half a cup plus 2 tablespoons if you like it really sweet. I don't, because I mean, you don't want to steal the thunder from the lemon. I mean, this is a lemon posset, right? And then what we're going to want to do is you're just going to hang out here, and this won't take long when you got it on medium-high. You're going to want to just stir, stir, stir. No big deal. It's not going to stick or do anything strange, but you'll want to bring it to a boil. In fact, I'm just going to turn it up just a little bit. And then once you got it doesn't have to be a rolling boil, just a boil, regular boil. Then you're going to want to set your timer and cook it for about 3 minutes. My notes were, yeah, I cooked it 3 minutes. And then you want to stir the juice in, and then the chemical reaction starts taking place. But you want to cook it, and imagine the reason you want to cook it for 2-3 minutes when it's softly boiling is because that helps, I guess, with the thickening process once you add your acid, right? So we're just going to hang out here. Oh, another thing that makes this dish kind of fun are how are you going to top it and what kind of thing are you going to put it in, right? Like I said, the last time I made it, I put it in those recycled glass jars because I wanted to give some out as gifts. But these are more like if I was going to have a little dinner party, and these should be just the right size. And how are you going to top it? You know, kind of like a mousse. You know how sometimes with a mousse you can put shaved chocolate shavings, or maybe have a raspberry on top, or maybe some blackberries or some blueberries, or maybe some whipped cream. The original recipe said to put, and I thought this was kind of strange, so I didn't do it. It said to put a tablespoon or 2 of heavy cream on top once the custard pudding set up, and I thought, well, that would look weird, so I didn't do that. Okay, the first time that I made it, I just put nothing on top because I didn't know if it was going to be good or bad, because you have to let this set up for 5 hours in the fridge. And it was good. And then I thought, well, if I was going to top it, what would I top it with? And I think I would top it with some whipped cream, and or some blueberries, okay? Or I would top it with maybe a little bit of lemon zest, right? That you use your microplane or your rasp to get off the outside of a lemon. A lemon, of course, that you scrubbed really clean, scrubbed really well with soap and water, because vegetables and fruits in the grocery store are generally in a filthy state from people touching them, right? Alright, it's just starting to get a little bit of bubble. When it does, I'll point the camera down so you can see. The thing is, when you're cooking or baking something like candy, and when they say that they want you to bring it to a full boil, bring it to a full boil, because I have ruined candy before just seeing a few bubbles and considering it a full boil, which sometimes might take a few minutes. Now that is, I don't know if you can see it. I'll go ahead and, can you see it? I can just see the steam coming up is all. I'll try to, right? If you got a quick glimpse of that, trust me, it is boiling. I'm gonna keep stirring. There we go, there we go. Had to pull it off the heat because then it was gonna boil over. And I do have a little dog down there who's not supposed to be in here. He's supposed to be laying down taking a nap. I'm gonna turn the heat down just a little bit. My silly stove. That all of a sudden will go from, there we go, that's perfect. From a nice simmering boil to starting to boil over in a blink of an eye. So when you do this part, and you got your timer on, you really want to stay put, right? You don't want to go in the other room to grab your phone, or go yell at one of your kids out in the yard. You want to just stay put with your timer, and let the science take its course, right? Still boiling, all that sugar's fully dissolved. The last thing we'll do before we pour it will be to add that acid, that lemon to it. Then I'll put these in the refrigerator. It's 3 o'clock now. They'll be done by 8 p.m. Okay? Or best, if you make these and you're going to make them for a dinner for your family or friends or a dinner party, I'd let them sit in the refrigerator overnight to really set up, because you wouldn't want it watery. And that's another reason why you want to set this for a full 2 to 3 minutes, and that's probably based on elevation. I'm higher, so I'm going to 3. I'm going with longer. So it can do its thing here. Heavy cream, smells like butter, right? In fact, this is kind of slightly butter colored, which makes sense, right? What else was I going to say? I'm not sure the ounces of this, but I'll tell you what, if it makes it easier for you, I'm going to measure them real quick so you know. And then if you think these are too full, you use something bigger. These are 3.5 wide by, what would you say that is? 1 3/4 tall, right? That's what these are right here. And this serves 4, so this should be perfect, I hope. It's funny how when you buy things like this, they don't always tell you. This one does not say, and I bought this from a really nice food store. This one doesn't say at all what size it is or any ounces on it at all. All it says is cordon bleu. That's all it says. I got 20 seconds. Then we add our acid. In fact, I should be doing this right now. Boom. If you don't have, well, there we go. If you don't have one of these handy gadgets, I recommend you get one. They're great. They're so much easier than using your hands in one of those little conical things. So there's 1.5. And I wrote down in my recipe that 1.5 lemons, for me anyway, was about 1/3 of a cup. Let's see, since these are different lemons, if this is still 1/3 cup. It is. Go figure. So we're going to add this. And what I did last time, it made this even more lemony, was I added this lemon zest. Stir that through. Turn this off. Ooh, I can smell that lemony. That smells so good. Holy smokes. The hard part, waiting 5 hours to overnight to eat this bad boy. That's the hard part. And we're going to go ahead and fill them up. My little ramekins here. Ooh, I called it. I called it. I don't know if you can see that. No, you can see that. Perfect. And then I'm going to grab a tray or a cutting board. Or no, actually, I'll just carry them to the fridge one by one because they're hot, okay? But let me show you what the finished item looks like, okay? What the finished posset looks like. Again, I made them in these little cute, these were cheese jars that had lids, perfect for gifting, right? Slap that lid on, gift it. Let me hold it up here so you can see the consistency of that. See how that's kind of, well, as thick as a pudding. It's not going anywhere. And I don't know if you can see. I'll just jump right in. If you can see, there we go. The consistency right there. And this one I put some whipped cream on, the kind that comes out of a can, but it kind of deflated, which I'm glad it did because that shows me something. If you're making these for company, do not put the whipped cream on until the last minute. This deflated about 2 inches. But I put some fresh, wild, organic blueberries in that one. And I was naughty and got into one of these last night. But I'm going to show you again how just luscious this is. The best thing I was reading in someone's blog post was about the lemon posset. This is a perfect end of the meal, end of your dinner party, end of your party or your dinner with your family dessert because it kind of cleans out your palate. It's kind of like brushing your teeth and having a dessert at the same time because you're in my mouth now. All I can taste is lemon. It's just nice. You know, if you've had a really heavy meal like, let's say, a heavy lasagna or something like that, afterwards you're just like, oh, you feel like a giant lasagna. But this is a great palate cleaner to just kind of say, that's it. That's the end of the day, the end of the meeting, or the end of the meal, the end of the evening, folks, right? I'm going to put this back in the fridge and try not to, or probably pick on it all night long, keep coming over to the refrigerator and getting another bite out. But go ahead, try making one of these. All you need to remember is you got to have that acid, and that could be an orange. I haven't tried an orange, a lime, which I'm going to try this summer. I love limes, and then of course the lemon. You know, you could also decorate these with a thin, oh, this would look so cute, a thin slice going this way, right, this way, of the lemon on the very top for serving. That would look really pretty, and as Ina Garden would say, let your guests know what the star of the show is, okay? If you tried, if you've heard of this dessert, leave me a comment down in the comments where I'll also have the recipe for this. If you can, give it a like, hit the thumbs up, hit the alarm, and you'll get a ding when next time I post. And if you haven't already, please subscribe. Let me know how you're doing. Let me know how the weather's doing where you're at, if you're making any desserts, anything like this, or puddings in the future. And take care of yourself, take care of your loved ones, and I'll see you next Sunday, next time. Bye-bye.